So you score yourself one of those sweet Dell XPS 8940 deals over the President's Day weekend, and you're thinking, man, I know XPS are enthusiast level gaming section, right? Well, not quite these days. Hey guys, welcome back to the Ivan Says channel. My name is Ivan, and today we are going to look at this Dell XPS 8940. This is the latest generation of Dell XPS compact desktop gaming machines. And if you have been in the computer world for a while, the XPS name was symbolic for a higher level, enthusiast grade, still pre-built, but more tailored towards the gamers section. And over the decades, literally, they have progressed and regressed. And unfortunately, in the last couple of generations, they've been going down. Understandably, Dell are trying to save money, so they're combining and designing the same chassis that goes across multiple of different sections of their business. So XPS's chassis current one is sharing the same one with the Dell Inspiron, which is the basic level, with Dell's G5, which is Dell's sub XPS gaming machine as well, and with Dell Vostro, which is the business level. So same exact chassis, multiple sections of their business. And unfortunately, those of us that are more used to with the quality of XPS and have higher expectations are prone to suffer now because of this new direction they're going. The last generation 8930 actually shared the exact same chassis with Alienware Aurora, which is much better, much more space inside, much more options for cooling solutions, for stuff like that. Unfortunately, that one is now gone, so we are stuck with this. But as always, I grabbed one of those. Great deal over the past couple weeks. President's Day weekend, used some coupons and ended up with Intel i5 10400, 6-core, 12-threaded processor, 8 GB of RAM, 250 GB of internal NVMe storage, and GTX 1660 Super. Now, a lot of you will be like, isn't that memory too small? Isn't that NVMe drive too small? Isn't that processor underpowered? Well, I'm here to answer all these questions and concerns, and let me tell you, the processor actually is pretty capable for most of your gaming. It's a 6-core, 12-threaded processor. It boosts up over 4 GHz across all the cores. Across all the cores stays at 4 GHz, but boosts up above to 4.1, 4.2. And it's not a bad processor. It's fairly cheap, and it's on the level of some of those lower level Ryzens. Not a bad option in my opinion. Now the memory, a bit different situation, because they're not allowing you to do any overclocking with these XPS machines now. The memory is running at 2666 megahertz, so easy choice. You can grab any kit that is giving you 2666 and just take that 8 GB that is coming in all together and put 2x8 or 2x16 or whatever you need. But one of the best things is actually their motherboards have 4 slots. And then the best thing about it is that GTX 1660 Super. And you ask me why? Well, if you are in the computer world and if you're building computers and you're interested in computers, you know the situation currently. Graphics cards are impossible to find on MSRP prices, and cards like 1660 Super are going way above $350, $400 on eBay. So consider just that graphics card and processor together cost as much as this computer, which was $650. So if you consider $450 for the graphics card and another $150 for the processor, there you go. You got $600. NVMe drive, memory, all the other stuff, it's free basically for you. One of the negatives that I really don't like about what they've done here is the power supply. 360 watt, although not that small, at the same time is 80 plus bronze, and at the same time it has only one 6-pin PCI Express cable, so you cannot even upgrade to anything that is 6+2, 8. So I don't know if there's different versions of that power supply, because I know some configurations come with 1660 Ti and that card requires 8-pin PCI Express, so maybe there's different version. but we'll see. I have one coming on my way as well. But 1660 Super is no slouch. It's definitely a card. Even today, they can give you plenty of good FPS, over 100 FPS on majority of the games if you play around the settings and play at 1080p, of course. Memory is easy to upgrade. They give you great storage options to add your own SSD drives, and the only big concern for me personally was the cooling solution and how can we improve that, considering there's no side perforations just like on the HP computers. You only have this front perforation, but there's no really where to mount a fan behind it. So we're gonna have to tinker things around and figure it out, see what we can improve. But let me open this case and I will show you the ideas and the things I'm planning to do. And actually one of the things I'm gonna do right away to improve the cooling. And it's cheap and easy and most of you can do it yourself. So let's go ahead, pop it open and you guys are gonna see it. So here it is, my dear friends. The XPS 8940 in all its glory in front of you. Very reminiscent to a lot of older designs. Optiplex, Inspiron, a lot of changes that I don't necessarily agree with, but let's see what we can benefit here. And first thing I'm going to show you is this cage. If you're not using hard drives, just unscrew the screw that is right here and slide it off, toss it or whatever. I'm just not going to use it ever, so it's on the way and it's impeding my ventilation, so I really don't want to use it. Now that creates a little bit more space, and you will see right here in the front, I'm going to tilt a little bit the case to show you. You'll see right here on the front there's a lot of perforations. So I'm hoping that I can mount one of those 80 or 92 millimeter fans right here that can blow across. There's plenty of perforations and space to get some air out. But on the bottom, this is where potentially I can drill a hole and mount a 12 millimeter fan, which will be ideal because all the perforations of the outside are right here in the bottom of the front. We have our GTX 1660 Super, and it only uses this 6-pin PCI Express cable, and unfortunately it's not 6+2, so we cannot use anything bigger. And let me see if I can remove this graphics card to show it to you and show you why I believe HP's Foxconn made graphics cards a little bit better than what the dear people of Dell are offering us here. So here's the graphics card. This is how it looks. Super simple, no frills. Nothing really on the shroud other than this GTX green right here, and the power connector is on top. Ideally, I would have loved them to be 90 degrees and point towards the back. It will be much easier to plug this cable and it will be not obstructed, but that's what they did. Green PCB, Dell have been doing this green PCB for ages, and I don't know why they're not moving away from this, but probably monetary reasons, again, prices. We have a simple sunflower style heatsink, although pretty thick, so not bad at all. We'll see how the thermals are. Single fan solution, perforations on the back, which is good. And we have our obligatory DVI, HDMI, and DisplayPort. So yeah, this is the 1660 Super that comes in it. And let's see the rest of it. I mentioned in the bottom we have the 360 watt 80 plus bronze power supply. Nothing really to write home about here. And we have a wireless card right here, which is Atheros Qualcomm, super tiny, but of course we can upgrade this to AX200 or 201 from Intel, as many times before I showed you. Very easy to be done. We have 4 memory slots. Currently I put another stick. It comes with only one 8 gigabytes, but I put another one, so at least we have 16 on dual channel. And over here, they're providing you with the cables already pre-routed, the SATA power to these cages and SATA data as well. They give you 2 in case you wanna upgrade. If you wanna, for some reason, put 3.5-inch hard drive, you can actually do it out here on the top on this cage and just not here in the front. But the 2.5-inch cage on the top houses 2 SSDs and the power cable is routed for 2. Unfortunately, they only provide you 1 bracket, which is kind of cheap in my mind. They should have given you both. But I went right away and installed one of those SK Hynix 500 gigabytes SSD drives right on the top. Super easy, just pull that cage, and I'm gonna show you real quick. And this is the cage, how it looks. No screws needed. Great. I like this better. This implementation better than the ones on HP's computers. They require screws. Here you don't need to. Just open up this bracket, put your SSD drive facing the back side here with the connectors, and just slide it on the top cage, and you already have your power and your data cables pre-routed, so you can just go ahead and plug them in, nice and easy, and off you go. So storage upgradability, it's extremely easy on these Dell computers, not only for the XPS but the rest of the line, even the gamer G series. And now the storage, the main storage is the NVMe drive, which is super tiny over here. Look at it, look like a little baby right there. It's SK Hynix 256 gigabytes NVMe drive, but at least they give you a space so you can install bigger ones if you want to in the future. PWM 4-pin exhaust fan mounted on rubber isolators, good thing to see, and plenty of perforations above it for additional passive exhausting of the heat. And overall, having a little bit more volume in this case compared to some of the HP Pavilion ones will give you better results. Now, to address the biggest elephant in the room here, this is the stock cooling solution. And what you can do to fix that problem is get yourself one of those. So what is this, you might ask? This is the stock cooling solution that actually Dell are giving you if you buy this configuration with K-level processors, the unlock processors, and this has been used across some of their servers as well. So if you go on eBay and search for these, they pop all over the place. You can get them for as low as $20, $25. This one cost me $25 only, which I think it's a great upgrade. It's a 92mm fan sandwiched between these heat pipes. We have 3 copper heat pipes with a copper base, and this mounting matches exactly the mounting right here, so nothing we can do other than just reapply thermal paste. They're already telling you where the airflow is, and just install it. Now you're gonna notice one more thing here. This little black heatsink over the VRMs is not stock. I already placed it in. I'm gonna post a link to the video description so you can see it on Amazon. They have different lengths. I kind of misjudged it before I actually got this computer, so it's a little bit short, but it's covering 90% of the VRMs. It's with thermal paste and it sticks. It's not gonna go anywhere. So if you're upgrading this cooling solution to something like this, this is beneficial to have, because here the hot air is gonna exhaust straight out to the back, and it's not gonna be dispersed down towards the motherboard to cool off the VRMs or NVMe drive or memory or any of that stuff. It's just gonna go straight out. So that's why it's beneficial to have some of these VRM cooling solutions. Very cheap, around $6, $7. You can get it, install it yourself. So let's go into installing this one instead of this stock cooling solution and see how it's gonna look. And of course, as always, I'm gonna run some test results and compare temperatures between both. That way you will see how big of a difference this tower cooler is, and something that you can do by yourself. So what we need for this process of upgrading is, like I mentioned, the tower or any other heatsink and fan you think you can fit here, but for our purposes, this is what we're doing. The OEM one, thermal paste, my GD900, a spreader, and my trusty old screwdriver. And of course, a little bit of a patience. Just to be a little bit more safer, I'm gonna remove the first memory from right here, and then I'm gonna have to unplug this fan from the back side, and then we can start unscrewing from the base on a diagonal pattern, a couple revolutions on all of them, and then you can continue all around. And when this stock cooler and fan while running Cinebench R20, we're getting temperatures close to 80 degrees, and I definitely don't feel comfortable with these kind of temps. I imagine if you're running some games or some more production intensive tasks, you'll be getting way over that, and it's going to be really hot inside the box for the rest of the components, your graphics card, memory and everything else. So the cooler we can keep it, the better it will be for us. And I think this is it, so we're just going to remove it. Thermal paste, not too bad. It's not perfectly spread, but at least it's not way too much. So you can see the size of this cooler. It's twice as small as the one that was on the HP Pavilion gaming desktop, the TG01. which is about double the size. This is really not adequate, and I really don't advise anybody using it long term. This one will be much better. But let me go ahead and clean that CPU. We don't have to take it out of the slot, as we are not replacing it. We're just replacing the cooling solution. All right, almost done. One last wipe, and I'm gonna wipe the base of this tower cooler one more time. Make sure it's nice and shiny and clean. So there we go, thermal paste applied. Now we're gonna make sure the airflow arrow points to the back. Cable is here on the back side. We can actually plug that in before we install the tower and kind of match the holes, lower it down in place, and then we can start. And you will notice there's numbers on top, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Generally that's advisable to go in that direction. Start screwing it that way, and you're putting an even pressure on the CPU that way. And because the way they're constructed, this motherboard and the back plate is part of actually the housing or the case frame, we can't really install our own unless we cut these mounting points with some Dremel tool, which is not impossible, but it's going to take a long time, and unfortunately it's going to void your warranty if you are going to that route. And now the tower is mounted. The cable is routed nicely over here behind. I'm just going to insert my memory stick back on with the stock cooling solution touching 80 degrees. We'll see if we can drop 10, 15, or maybe more with this copper heat pipe tower. So here is a very quick and easy mod you can do yourself. After we install that stock tower cooler that it's meant to be for the XPS, I added the front fan, which is 80 millimeter, but I'm assuming you can probably do 92 as well. Mounted on those, my favorite rubber isolators that I've shown you before, installing many other fans. A pack of these, 100 on Amazon, is like $5 or $6, so not too big of a deal. Grab these, and once you remove that front hard drive cage, you're revealed with enough space that you can install that. How do I run the power? I actually used the splitter, so it's a PWM splitter for the back and the front fan. They're routed together and they work in tandem perfectly. Rotated the cable of the back fan on the back side, cable tied that splitter right on the top, so it's nice and clean, there's nothing obstructing it. And I ran one of those PWM extension cables from Noctua that I have from other builds in the past, other fans, from the front fan around the cages all the way to the back. Tuck the cables out of the way so they won't interfere with anything, and that way you have one interrupted constant airflow and stream from the front through the tower, exhausting in the back. So the CPU temperature dropped 17 degrees at the exact same ambient 22, and the exact same test with Cinebench R20, 17 degrees drop with this tower. And that front intake modification, simple as that. You can imagine how much more you can do if you have 12 millimeter in the front that I'm planning to drill in the future. But as of now, I'm gonna keep this one on. The GTX 1660 Super does not produce a lot of heat, but if I upgrade that graphics card in the future with something better, potentially get 3060, I might mount that fan right in the front. But as of now, I think that's gonna do it. That's gonna be the initial updates and modifications. Extremely easy, easier than any of the other ones, including the HP Pavilion gaming desktops, the TG or the 690. With this stock tower, it's perfect. If you find one of those on eBay, 25, I think I've seen them between $25 and like $40. It's still worth it. The upgrade is so easy and flawless, and it's meant to be for this specific case, so it does the job very well. There will be links in the description below for the VRM heatsink, the splitter, and the rest of it you can source from whatever you want. Pretty much anything is going to work. But that's it. Let's go to the conclusion. All right, conclusion time. This is what I think about the Dell XPS 8940. With the configuration today, just like that, you see the cooling is not adequate. They're sticking with this super basic heatsink and fan that really is adequate for the CPU, but at the same time, it's very noisy. So you are gonna hear it once you're ramping up the processor and you're getting some high-level gaming or you're doing some production, that fan is going to be extremely noisy. And the back fan is fine. It's not that noisy, but it's only the one that is going to extract the heat out of the case, and you definitely need something in the front. And the other thing is, in the front, there's plenty of room for 12mm fan, but that will require a lot of Dremel work and cutting and drilling holes, which I am going to do definitely in the future, because that's going to improve tremendously the potential of this case. The other major upgrade we did, adding that tower cooler, and that tower cooler is actually in all the promo shots of Dell and XPS they're showing you when you go to their website. Unfortunately, they're not providing it for all majority of the CPUs. They're only giving it to you if you order a version with the K level CPU, which I believe it's a mistake on their part, because this heatsink fan solution is not that capable, but it's very good compared to that basic one, and they should be installing it for every single CPU. It's not that expensive, guys. I mean, just throw us a bone out here. And installation of that tower is very easy. As you saw, we just removed the old one, repaste it, put the new one, off you go. That's it. That's the easiest upgrade. There's other options to install Noctua solutions or some other companies heatsink fans, but that will require you getting special screws and washers and try to match the holes and do all that stuff. And even further, I personally thought, okay, because I know the motherboard is mounted on these studs, there's no actual backplate behind the heatsink and fan on the CPU, and the mounting is done on the back metal part of the actual case. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to bust out the Dremel, cut these mounting studs, and just put a regular backplate to put maybe the Big Shuriken 3 or some other cooling solutions that I have in mind. But getting this tower that it's meant for this computer off of eBay for $25 was a lot cheaper, a lot easier, and a lot faster, and at the same time delivers great temperatures. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Next time I'm gonna run some gaming tests. We're gonna compare the temperatures from stock versus the upgraded solution. We're gonna do some more upgrades around to show you how things are done. And we're gonna compare it to some of the other pre-builds, the ones from HP, the ones from Dell that are coming my way. So there's gonna be a plethora of new videos coming out for your information to get informed, educated, and what you can actually do to improve all these pre-builds. Because again, this is the only way for us to get a graphics card today on MSRP and not pay scalpers and resellers and all that stuff. That's pretty much it, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video, stay tuned to the channel, subscribe if you're new, hit that bell notification to get notified for every single new video coming your way from my side. And as always, guys, you have a wonderful day.